How's it going, everybody? So we're back out in the shop with another daily vlog. And guys, you know, this is the day after I released the whole giveaway thing. Hopefully y'all thought that was pretty cool, actually being able to see the stuff that was inside the EDC bag. From all y'all's comments on that video, it seems like a lot of y'all liked that, and that was the goal for it. It was definitely something that I took the time to think through what was going to go in it and be able to give y'all something that was very, very sensible and, you know, made sense for an EDC bag. So I'm excited to see who's going to win that, and hopefully the person that wins it utilizes it and keeps it with them every single day, because that is what it's used for. And it's good to be able to take those things and just throw them in your passenger seat or throw them behind your seat, hook them on a headrest, however you want to do. That way you keep that bag with you. So I'm happy to see that y'all like that, y'all are interested in it. You know, I don't know exactly when we're going to be doing the next giveaway. Y'all just going to have to stay tuned for that. But today, I was thinking through what I should do. I had told y'all that I was going to go ahead and in the next video on this little build series that I was going to go ahead and show y'all the heat treat, temper, and all that stuff for this knife. But I was thinking it through, and me personally, I would rather heat treat a few knives at once. So I think what I'm going to do on today's video, and by I think what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do the bevels on one of the other knives. So I told y'all that I was thinking about doing the bevels to where we actually had the bevel here, the bevel on the upsweep, and then doing a false edge on the top. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that today, because I know that y'all are really interested in seeing that. And if I'm going to heat treat, I might as well, you know, have this one already done and then go ahead and do this one and heat treat them at the same time, because I'm going to end up finishing them so that y'all can see both of the knives. I'm not going to do all three. I will end up doing the bevels on that and doing that off camera, so I'll get that done. I'm going to see which one of these I like the best design-wise after I do all the bevels. And whichever one I like the best, the third one is going to get that treatment. So y'all will be able to see both of these knives get finished. So we're going to end up making handle scales for this one that are going to be a little bit different than the handle scales I'm putting on this one. So you'll be able to see another set of handle scales. You'll be able to see both these knives being completed, and one that was pretty true to the design that I originally had, and then one that has the other design to it. So yeah, there we go. Let's go ahead. Let's jump into doing the bevels on this. Let's see how it turns out. Hopefully it turns out sick. That's the goal. So let's jump into it. So there's still some forge scale left on the edge here from whenever we annealed this. We need to go ahead and get that removed, get a nice polished edge all the way around it. So this little finish that we have right here. And we're using a coarse Scotch-Brite belt to do this. This just makes it to where whenever you start doing the next step, which is scribing that center line, it has a good result. Because if you leave that forge scale and you go to start scribing, it just cracks away the forge scale, and these are real jagged, rough lines. So we're just going to do this to make sure we have a good result when we do that step. We're going to use just a Sharpie. I use a really broad tipped one because it makes it a lot easier. And we're going to mark everything that we just buffed out and polished so that we can go ahead and start scribing our lines. So this first line is where the plunge line is going to end on the cutting edge, so that this knife and the one that I've already done were pretty even. I will tell you, I ended up changing it a little bit and I made it a little bit thicker in that area, but I am getting some measurements off of the previous knife to make it a little bit easier. So what this marking is for is where the top of the plunge line is, plus where I'm going to start my third bevel area, or the false edge, on the top of it. And then we're going to take our calipers and we're going to scribe the line with it. All I do is I take and measure the width of the blade, divide that by 2, tighten it down, and just start scribing away. And of course we've got to go down the cutting edge, up the tip of the cutting edge, and across the spine where the false edge is going to be. And we'll get a nice crisp line just like this all the way around that. And that's what we're looking for. Now we're going to go ahead and put our plunge line jig on, and I set this plunge line jig for the actual primary plunge line, and then I ended up changing it, and you'll see that in the next little clip. But for right here, it's just trying to figure out exactly where we want our plunge line to be, and I liked the one on the previous blade, so I'm going to kind of match that up. And I end up doing this again after I do the false edge. So we do the false edge first, but I end up going back to the same angle right here. And you can see right here, it's actually a 90-degree angle with the blade, with the cutting edge, so that I get a nice vertical plunge line on this false edge that's going across the top. And all we're doing is about a 45-degree angle at first, and as we go up in the belts, I'll make it a little bit of a steeper angle. But I'm just going to go around this whole entire blade and do a 45-degree angle all the way around it on both sides, just to get to the actual center line, and then we'll fade everything from there, all the different bevels. So we had that top one like that. Now it's time to go ahead and start cutting in the primary bevel with the cutting edge, and you can see that I went back to that angle that I had before for the primary plunge line. But now we're going to go ahead, we're going to do that 45-degree angle all the way to the cutting edge, because we always do that, and then we feather it back to the height that we want it to go up the bevels. So once we do this, we're going to go ahead and do the other side and get that part done, where you can see it just like that. And now before we do the one that actually comes up the upsweep area to the tip, we want to go ahead and do both of the bevels for the primary sides of it. And the reason why we do that is so that we get that top bevel and the primary cutting edge bevel where we want them, and then we'll bring in the tip back to where we want it. You know, you want to do these things in steps, and the only reason why I kind of am comfortable with knowing what I should do here is because I have done a few of the Tanto blades, and this just seems to work a little bit better going with this process. You do the top one, and then you do the cutting edge, and then you do the upsweep. It's a personal preference that I do. You don't have to follow that exactly. You can do it a few different ways, but that's the way that I like it. So if you want to follow it, you can. And one of the things that I'm focusing on here is keeping that file design going almost all the way to the tip. So I'm just feathering it enough to where I still have all of the file design going down the blade itself. It ends up with a really cool result, which you'll see in the outro. You can see that we're just slowly bringing that bevel from the 45-degree angle that we had on it all the way up as high as we want on the side of the knife. And I'm just using a 40 grit belt on this. I use that pretty much for everything. I'll use a you can see right there where you still see that file area where the two bevels come together. That was the goal there. And now it's time to go ahead and cut in the tip. So the one of the three bevels, the one that goes up the front of the blade. And I feel like this turned out absolutely awesome. Everything comes together, nice clean lines, and you still get the file design. That's perfect. Now we're going to go ahead and use a 120 grit ceramic belt, and we're just going to clean up some of the grind lines from the 40 grit before we go to the Scotch-Brite belt. And we're not applying much pressure here, just enough to do what it needs to do and remove a lot of those lines. You want to be careful because even though this is a 120 grit belt, it removes steel very fast. So if you go a little bit too aggressive, you'll throw off your bevels. Now we're going to go ahead and use a coarse Scotch-Brite belt, and this is a used up coarse Scotch-Brite belt, so it actually puts a really good satin finish on the blade, and I really like the way this turns out. That's absolutely perfect for heat treat, so excited about that. Now when it comes to drilling the holes, I thought the camera was on whenever I was doing the 3/16 holes. It was not, but y'all get to see me finish out the holes with a step bit and chamfer them. So at least I get to show y'all that. Well, we're going to go ahead and end today's daily vlog right here. And this is how the first one looked, with just that flat grind and then that convex towards the front there. So that's what we had originally, and this one is what we have on the second go around. So I mean, definitely think that that turned out pretty awesome. So we've got that primary bevel, the second bevel, and the third bevel, and we accomplished not having a real thick tip on there. It's still pretty bulky right here, but it is what it is. I mean, a 1/4 inch thick stock, you're only going to get it so thin, especially if you want to keep the file area like I have going through the center here, which is pretty cool. But guys, y'all tell me what y'all think about that. Tell me which one y'all think is cooler, which one's y'all's favorite. Of course, we do have two pretty different things going on the same exact knife shape, so that's what happens when you do different bevels and what you can do whenever you just modify a little bit of your grinds. But that's what we got right there. Y'all go down in the comment section, y'all tell me which one's y'all's favorite. And I'll probably use that to go ahead and decide which way I'm going to do the third one. But guys, that's pretty much the end of this one. If y'all would, give this video a thumbs up, share this video or a video I've done in the past that might be your favorite. And if you haven't yet, bottom corner right there, hit that subscribe button so you get notified from when we actually do a few of the next steps on this, which is going to be heat treat and temper. And I'm going to go ahead and get all of them heat treated and tempered, show y'all how to do that. So that's pretty much what we got there. Guys, thank y'all for coming by. Thank y'all for spending your time with me. Y'all have an amazing day. Y'all stay safe out there. I'll see y'all tomorrow.